Welcome, my friends, to another entry in our Community Cast series. In this match, we're going to have a showdown between the Vampire Counts, who shall be led by Black Phillip, and Norsca, who's going to be helmed by Gobbo Slayer. So on that note, guys, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So for the Vampire Count build, here in the front line, there's going to be a bunch of, I was about to say bony boys, but these guys, I mean, yeah, certainly not the boniest of folk. A little bit more fleshy, I suppose, but it's going to be zombies here in the front line. In total, there's going to be 4 of those bad boys, and yeah, it's a good tar pit. Norsca does have a very hard-hitting front line with pretty good charge bonuses as it pertains to infantry, so having the zombos in the front line with their almost 8,000 HP to really kind of tank that is always a pretty good choice. I like it. Granted, it does get the Norscans a little bit more angry with their rage mechanic. They get to grind it into zombies for a while and build it up, but still, I think having the zombie screen is always pretty efficient. So there's going to be a couple zombos here, and in the secondary line, it's going to be Graveguard. So in total, it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 Graveguard. No Sternsmen, interestingly enough. I feel like Sternsmen are pretty much an auto-include, but nonetheless, it's going to be 5 Graveguard here. And Graveguard are pretty good against Norscan infantry. Their 90 armor is going to mitigate a ton of damage from Berserkers and Marauder Champions and basic Marauders. And they have a bonus for infantry. They're very durable. I think they make a great frontline choice here against the Norscans. So in total, he has 5 of those bad boys. And up in the sky, the Strigoi Vampire Lord. It's not the Ghoul King, but it might as well be. And we'll just say it is. And you don't see him terribly often, so let's take a look at his ability. So he has the Ghoul King of Ursharon, which heals himself. Obviously, he has like a basic heal, so he doesn't have to use Invocation on himself. Claws of Morcane, which gives him extra armor piercing. Opal Amulet, and of course he can summon a bunch of angry golems, which is cool. Command of the Unliving, same as the Strigoi Ghoul King. In the back, he's got a couple spears, and it looks like there's going to be a glorious corpse cart, which is going to be given some buffs to his infantry horde. For the hard hitting here, he does have 2 Vargulfs. The Vargulfs certainly going to have their work cut out for him, as the Norskans are going in pretty deep in the single entity. So we have the Soul Crusher, which Soul Crusher in a vacuum duel against the Vargulf will easily win that. I mean, it literally has twice the HP, and its combat stats are pretty damn good for a big monster. 42, 44, and 525 against... Well, Vargulfs do have 50 melee attack, but yeah, the Soul Crusher is definitely scary. So the infantry for the Vampire Count certainly in a little bit of trouble, but with some very good control from the Strigoi Vampire Lord, who does have poison and bonus versus large, and of course some really nice buffs with the Claws of Morcane. These guys could go down for sure, but it's really going to come down to the big monster fight. So two big mammoths, one of which is going to be Wulfric, a fat, angry giant who looks like, I call these the Hodor giants, and it looks like in the back some Fimir with great weapons, and a Metalcaster who's going to be going for that sweet, sweet final transmutation. So more than likely, the Norskans here are going to be trying to force a monsters fight, overcast a final transmutation, and just punish the monsters for the Vampire Counts. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty light on infantry, though. It's just going to be Berserkers who will easily make mincemeat of the zombies, but the Graveguard, I think, are going to be having the advantage in this matchup, especially with a little bit of magic support. Necromancer here on the ground is going to be mostly a mana battery, but he does also have Raised Dead. So the Berserkers are being sent in here, going to be cleaving some skulls for Khorne here. I mean, yeah, these guys have skulls, so I guess Khorne would be pleased. I mean, they're not alive, so... I mean, Khorne, he doesn't really care. It's like a violence thing, right? But the Vargulf on the far side does jump onto the Marauders, doing a little bit of damage, and the big Papa Mammoth's coming in, and here comes the run over. So some zombies going to get trampled, and the Mammoth is going to be surging right into the Graveguard, continuing his great crusade here into the back line. But now he's back at Spears, and the Strigoi Ghoul King, or Vampire Lord, whatever the hell it's called, is nearby as well, and he could easily attack Wulfric, which might not be a bad idea. Granted, maybe he wants to go after the caster or a weaker target. But man, oh man, that front line is getting crumbed. So the front line here of zombies just getting melted, and the Graveguard are also taking a ton of damage. And the Strigoi Vampire Lord is going to be jumping on Wulfric here, getting a little bit of damage, but it's a dangerous game he plays because there's a fat giant here, and it looks like a final transmutation is going to be going down overcasted. Oof, that's a good one. It hits the Cryptors here that were summoned here, and it also hits like Graveguard, zombies, it hits the Corpse Guard, it hits the Ghoul King. That was a really good cast there by Gobbo Slayer. I like that quite a bit. Now on the flanks, it looks like the Vampire Counts are kind of conceding the middle of the formation, not committing too much, which is good. They didn't blob in these unnecessary troops. Rather, they're using the Vargulfs to try and win the flanks, at which point maybe they can collapse inward. So the Vargulfs doing pretty good against Berserkers here. Graveguard, of course, holding their own, their armor, and is really proven to be invaluable here against the low armor piercing of the Berserkers. And on the far side, pretty much the same thing. Berserkers are really starting to get worn down, but the Norskans pretty dominant here in the middle. They're certainly doing some really good damage, and you can see the bounce power is already in the favor of the Norskans as the big beasts are really running over the center pocket. And that final transmutation was a really nice cast. So Strigoi Ghoul King's going to be going in as well. He's quite good against Fimir type targets. His anti-large, again, very, very helpful, and it looks like the Fimir have lost no models. And I really do like the summoning of the Cryptors. It gives him extra mass against these big monsters, and it looks like Strigoi Ghoul King was able to do a bit of work here against Wulfric with his bonus versus large and the support of the Cryptors. That's quite good, and it looks like another summon of Cryptors is going to be going down, and the big angry mammoth is going to be rampaging over here. It looks like he's going after the Necromancer. Yeah, Necromancer's taking a bit of a beating. He has begun to stroke his Forbidden Rod, but I do not think that's going to save him if the Mammoth continues to pursue him. Very, very nice isolation here. Using the Strigoi Vampire Lord to go after the caster is going to be clutch. If he's able to get rid of the Shaman Sorcerer, so typically how it works with Final Transmutation is that over the course of a long battle, you're going to be able to get like 2 off. Like 1 overcasted, maybe 2 overcasted if the battle goes very, very long. So getting rid of the caster before he's able to really maximize his value by getting that second final transmutation is super solid. So Wulfric's not going to be taking that shit on the chin though. He's coming out here, he's going to be hunting the Strigoi Vampire Lord. Hunter of Champions has popped, the Opal Amulet in response as well. But the Strigoi Vampire Lord is pretty quick, and that is the advantage the Vampire counts have. The Vargulfs are much faster than Mammoths. Mammoths have 56 speed, and Vargulfs have like 80. They're like faster than a lot of heavy cav, which is pretty intense, almost into the skirmisher cat territory. Vargulf right here is going to be fighting Fimir with great weapons, and the Norscan infantry certainly got crumbed, but the Brutes of the Hound doing very good, 239 kills. Granted, probably over 75% of that is against zombies, but it's still not a bad performance. I mean, they are designed to clear chaff. And the Glittering Robe is going to be going down as well from the Metalcaster. So it looks like he may have come back for a minute. And let's see, where did he go? Is he over here? Oh no, he was able to kind of juke out the Ghoul King. Very, very tricky stuff. So here now we have the monster fight. The Giant and the Triple Mammoth Goon Squad is going to be coming in. Giants are going to be super good against Vargulf. Vargulf is definitely going to get beaten down pretty bad here. You can see he's getting clubbed. He's actually crumbling already at 60% HP. That boy is not having a good time. And here the Vampire Lord, though, is able to isolate Fimir. And Fimir, if they do have a big weakness, it's the fact that they have pretty bad leadership. We actually got to see that pretty accurately displayed in that best of 7 between Pelkon and Arokrask the other day, in which the Scurvy Dogs were able to really just chase off Fimir like efficiently. So here you can see that the Fimir warriors with the Glittering Robe are going to be up to 170 armor, which is quite impressive, but it looks like the Ghoul King, or the Ghoul, Vampire Lord, goddammit, he pops his buff to heal himself, give himself leadership, and also pops the Claws of Morcane, so his armor piercing damage is going to be quite fat now. And the Fimir warriors really just getting crumped horribly. But over here, the Big Mammoth is able to beat down the Necromancer. So that Forbidden Rod will be out of the picture if this guy crumbles. And of course, he raised deads, which are still useful to kind of tar pit Berserkers and things like that. But it's not a big deal. But mainly losing the Forbidden Rod is going to be the biggest thing. Negative 14, 280. It looks like this guy is going to be crumbling down. He's got negative 41 leadership. I do not see that guy coming back. So very, very even battle here. Bounce Power is pretty much dead even. Of course, Vampires, like we predicted in the beginning, based on the build, won the infantry fight pretty handily. But again, the monster fight is where they're really going to struggle. Vargulf right here is actually doing a ton of damage against Wulfric, and the Strigoi Vampire Lord is just beast moding it. Man, getting in there with his pimp claws, and quite literally, he actually does have claws. And he's doing a lot of damage against Wulfric. Wulfric is quite low, 1300 HP, and of course, Norscans have no way of healing. Perhaps had he embraced the Mark of Nurgle, he could heal, but not this day. The other Vargulf, in the meantime, just kind of waited on the wings, and it looks like it was healing. Vargulfs, of course, have passive healing. You don't need to use Invocation. Those bad boys are going to be healing up over the course of a long battle. So it's really, I think, just going to come down to a monster fight. These Berserkers coming back in, probably going to be able to finish off the Graveguard and these other troops, especially with the support of the Giant, who is buffed by Fight or Die. A nice breath attack going down on Wulfric, 293 HP, and I think he's going in. He's going in, baby. No, he's not. He's actually flying by, which is fine. Vargulfs can easily just form in and probably finish off Wulfric. Oh, and the double Vargulf slap! Double Vargulf Steel Chair, taking out Wulfric. He's down for the count, and Balance Power is still dead even. I mean, you have a full health Norscan Giant pretty much, and the Soul Crusher. Like, this is no mere Mammoth, this is the Soul Crusher. But I think Strigoi Vampire Lord might be able to get in there with some effective cycle charging and really kind of isolate those targets. And man, if you can get that caster as well, that would be great. Because there's probably going to be another final transmutation. It's basically a 2v1 over here. It's going to be the Soul Crusher, who does have anti-large javelins on top, which actually are pertinent here. Rage has been popped, but very good play here by the Vampire Count player. Just going to be pulling back, so Black Phillip going to be charging back in and using his superior mobility to just isolate these big Norscan monsters. Really, really good play here. But Strigoi Vampire Lord's taking a bit of a beating himself. Mammoth coming in with the rear charge actually almost breaks this Vargulf. Vargulf's at negative 25. Invocation of the Heck going down. A very good cast. Going to be hitting everyone here pretty much, or I guess these 4 targets. It's not going to be hitting the Strigoi Vampire Lord. And for anyone who doesn't know, Invocation of the Heck is very different than it used to be. It's actually limited to 4 targets max, so you can't cast it on like a blob of like 100 units like it used to. So the Vargulf here is going down. Giant comes around, but he's wavering himself. Giants have pretty good leadership. It's almost 100, but he's at 0. He's at negative 3, and that's really, really bad. For the Norskins, the fact that the Giant is now broken, oh man, that's gonna be that's a tough one, Cotton. It's gonna be rough. So Strigoi Vampire Lord easily gonna be chasing that guy down, and now, Soul Crusher. Oh, he was able to kill a Vargulf though. He was able to kill a Vargulf, but I don't think Soul Crusher is gonna be able to beat the Strigoi Vampire Lord plus this Giant here. And at this point, the Vampire player can simply just chase off the caster. The Vargulf's actually faster than the Metalcaster, so he could just chase the Metalcaster into the sunset and basically just use the Strigoi Vampire Lord to chase off or kill the Giant if he's able to. So at that point, it's going to be a 2v1. I just don't see the Mammoth being able to beat both of them. I mean, Soul Crusher is no mere mortal. It's just the Soul Crusher. It's incredibly strong, but it's going to be tough. The Vargulf coming in, actually going for the attacks. He's pretty close to his healing cap though, and you can see the javelins up top are actually throwing here at the Graveguard, and this thing has plenty of ammunition. So let's actually watch the javelins. Okay, it's still throwing at those guys. Here comes a couple javelins as well, doing some pretty good damage, actually. It's definitely nothing to sneeze at. Over in the distance, the Norscan Giant still not taking a lot of damage. The Strigoi Vampire Lord is probably going to have to chase that guy off, so we'll do some fast forwarding as the Benny Hill action is underway here. And down goes the Giant. So Giant is down, and now we have this fight again, and it looks like he's trying to get that caster and rout off these Berserkers, which is a good choice. Again, you don't need to sit and fight that mammoth. You have the mobility, you paid for it. Why not, capitalize on it? So here he's going to be going after the caster, trying to break that Shaman Sorcerer. The battle's still close. I mean, the Shaman Sorcerer, if he does have a final transmutation and we're able to really just like kind of get a great 2-for-1, right? And hit the Strigoi Vampire Lord plus the Vargulf, there's a chance he might actually win the game. It's certainly not out of the picture here. I totally forgot about that final transmutation. Granted, I did see him overcast a couple of the glittering robes over the course of the battle, so his Winds of Magic isn't going to be perfect here. And it looks like Strigoi Vampire Lord is just going to be flying over and certainly going to be going for that caster, but the bounce bar is actually normalizing a little bit, coming back into the favor of the Norscans here. Or maybe I just have it backwards. No, yeah, it's coming back into the middle, so that is going to be for the Norscans right now. The Shaman Sorcerer is going to get isolated. Is he going to cast anything? No, it looks like he's going to get terrified. He probably honestly doesn't have the Winds of Magic. I could have sworn I saw like 2 or 3 glittering robe casts, which is going to probably eat up all of his Winds of Magic. Final Transmutation is super expensive. That spell is just balls deep here. So Shaman Sorcerer is going to be broken, truly broken. So he was terrified, and then he was actually broken by this big papa here. And now it's going to be Soul Crusher fighting up against the Strigoi Vampire Lord. And here comes the Soul Crusher. He's enraged, guys. That is no joke. And I mean, 6.9k HP. I'm just going to grab some. I literally have popcorn on my desk right now, so I'm going to grab some. Hold on. Just watch this glorious battle unfold here. Soul Crusher, Unrage, 44% ward save. He's getting some decent attacks in against the Strigoi Vampire Lord, but the melee defense of the Vampire Lord holding pretty well here. Opal Amulet has been popped as well, and the Claws of Morkane, that extra AP is really going to be, quite helpful, even against like 70 armor here. Oh, look at this, guys. The Shaman Sorcerer escaped, and he gets a final transmutation off. That is huge. That is huge. He might actually be able to kill the Vargulf here. If he turns and got like a single, like really damaging attack here, Vargulf took a lot. He's actually crumbling, man. I would probably just grab the Shaman Sorcerer at this point and turn around and charge him and just try and get a good, really good attack there. But he's crumbling actually. I don't know. Maybe just kiting is the right idea. I think he has the right idea. But he's going in here. And it looks like he missed that attack. That is really unfortunate for him. Had the Shaman Sorcerer made that attack there, I think this Vargulf would have just, died out. Like had he gotten like 200 or 300 damage, that's pretty unfortunate. And with that, that's going to be game. It would have been game anyways because the Mammoth was getting crushed over here by the Strigoi Vampire Lord. And then the Strigoi Vampire Lord would have been able to kill the Sorcerer easily. So, well played to both of these fine gentlemen. It was a very fun game to watch. So thanks to Black Phillip and Gobbo Slayer for sending in the replay. And it was a cool build. I like both their builds, for sure. I think that, let's see. So for the Vampire counts, it's interesting to see him in action. The Strigoi Vampire Lord. I do think mixing in, like, I really like Terror Guys quite a bit in this matchup, but honestly, Vargulfs can work just fine. Yeah, his infantry were able to win the fight, which is always good. And yeah, it was a good build. It's a little bit different than what you'd see in traditional builds, but I thought it was very good. Black Phillip had a nice thought process there, and it worked out well. And for Gobbo Slayer's build, Wolfric on a Mammoth isn't bad, for sure. I'm still an advocate of Throg. I think Throg Daddy is better because vampires are pretty good at sniping your lords, so going with Throg in a similar build like this, I think it would have made a pretty big difference. And Frostbite's really big too for like slowing down Vargulfs and allowing your units to actually beat them down. But yeah, it was good. I'm also a fan of Marauder Champions. They tend to last longer and can actually win the fight in the front line. Berserkers are really good at killing chaff, but so are Marauder Champions. So I am a really big fan of Marauder Champ. So I'll give you guys a build that I think, this build works fine. It was very close. And it's a good build, but just my personal preference. Excuse me. I'll go ahead and show you guys right now. So well played to both of these fine gentlemen. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Let's go ahead and take a look at Norsca build. I wonder if I still have my old build. I don't think so. Like my Norscan guide, for anyone who's wondering, is a little bit outdated at this point. Things have changed quite a bit. So if you guys go back and watch that, take it with a grain of salt. But I'd probably mix in a couple champs. They're just really durable, and their 80 armor makes them, very strong against Graveguard. And their damage output's still really, really good. So from here, I would probably go 2 of these Familiar with Great Weapons. Those guys are incredibly solid. And for anti-large, you have Throg. And there's a number of casters. I think Fire's pretty good. Imbuing fire damage is incredibly solid. So we can get rid of this. You don't need those abilities there. And Burning Head's pretty good at clearing out chaff. Fireball's decently useful. I'd probably go with this kit right here. Burning Head to kill the chaff of zombies and skeletons if they do have those. Cascading Fire Cloak to buff your lords when they're dueling. So you have a relatively elite army so far. From here, you can go with Javelin play. Javelins can actually be pretty good. Because if your opponent wants to deal with the Javelins, they actually have to come back and attack them with a big monster or something like that. Or not a big one. And then if they come back there, the Famir are just going to be waiting and Throg and everything. So it kind of like forces the vampires to act. And they can use summons on them if they want to. But you just leave a couple standard marauders back there to actually protect them. And it's pretty efficient for sure. So a build like this so far I think is okay. I wouldn't recommend any trolls. Mammoths are fine, but Marauder Champions plus Famir plus like Throg support, you're going to be able to kill like most chaff. Like it's not going to be terribly difficult. There's a couple other things. I think maybe even mixing in the Brutes of the Hound isn't going to be a bad idea, but a couple of Spears as well, if they decide to go with like Cav play, is always useful. And against Vargals, Marauder Spears aren't terrible. So, and last but not least, I need to free up a little bit of money. There's some minor tweaks. I mean, the Copious Vomit's fine. Copious Vomit is okay. I wanted to get like one Norscan Doggo, although the front line's a little bit thin, so I think we do need to buff that up a little bit. I mean, 3 Marauder Champs is going to be... It's going to be decent, but you definitely need a little bit more meat in that front line there. So probably just cut 1 Javelin and get the Brutes of the Hound. Brutes of the Hound are still really good. Unbreakable, they get a ton of kills. They generally pay for themselves. Something like this I think would be very good. It's a very Death Star style of play, but the Frostbites are incredibly good. And honestly, now that I think about it, I think Shadow might be better. So Shadow is if you're dueling monsters, it's super useful. Essentially what you do is you just use the... You can use Pendulum as well to serve as a burning head effect. Enfeebling Foe is really good, but more importantly, Melkoffs, like if they have things cycle charging you, the slow is really useful. Plus Frostbite, you can like just make things like snails. So give it a try, guys. And obviously just spend the remaining gold on whatever chevrons you deem necessary. And yeah, that's pretty much it for now. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time, my friends.